So what do the American people feel about Judge Brett Kavanaugh now that he's been seated on the Supreme Court? Now, a lot of conservatives will tell you, oh no, he's incredibly popular. Everybody wanted on the Supreme Court. We got a massive victory for the American people in Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Thank God, hashtag MAGA. Well, what's the reality? Well, it turns out Brett Kavanaugh is a sharply divisive and actually very unpopular Supreme Court justice. In fact, he's one of the most unpopular nominees in American history. In fact, back in August, before he was seated on the court, and this is before all the sexual assault allegations had come out, you had 40% of Americans opposing his nomination, whereas only 37% supported it. Now, that is likely at that time, before all these allegations came out, probably because he was a Trump nominee. And because a lot of people still remember what they did to Merrick Garland. Again, I wasn't a favor of Merrick Garland. I thought he was, pro-corporate, status quo, etc., money in politics. But Kavanaugh is even more pro-corporate. In fact, 87% of his decisions were in favor of big business. So, okay, that explains that. However, following the sexual assault allegations from Christine Blasey Ford, which the nation watched her recount her story, and they believe she is actually very, very credible, and they were very credible allegations. His popularity has dropped like a rock. Now, by the time the Senate confirmed Kavanaugh to the court last weekend, a majority of Americans wanted his nomination rejected. Now, earlier in the summer, I should say, he had gained some support for a short time. 41% of the public backed his confirmation. However, while Kavanaugh gained ground with the Republican base, he lost it with the broader public, as 51% of the voters say the Senate should have rejected his Supreme Court bid. What's more, a majority of voters also say they believe the women who accused Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct were telling the truth, and that Kavanaugh lied about his alcohol use before the Senate, and that his professional qualifications do not outweigh any questions about his personal conduct. So there's a lot there. But basically, you still have a majority of Americans that are not in favor of Kavanaugh being placed on the Supreme Court. So they looked at both the sexual assault allegations, the fact that he lied about his alcohol use, and then, of course, about the way that he conducted himself during that hearing, basically screaming, crying, carrying on. And they're like, no, even if those allegations are false, you do not have the temperament to be a Supreme Court justice. And add in the fact that you are nakedly partisan, as he had alluded to, saying that, oh no, all this is a Hillary witch hunt. It's a Clinton witch hunt. What's funny that you talk about that, because Kavanaugh was also, back during the impeachment of Bill Clinton, an attack dog who was deeply partisan. Just saying. Remember, that was the whole thing where first it started out as an investigation into properties, the Whitewater, which, by the way, they didn't find that Bill Clinton had done anything wrong, and immediately went into sexual assault allegations. That's what you actually call a witch hunt. Now, when it came to Kavanaugh, these allegations, look, when they came forward, Blasey Ford eventually came forward after her letter was leaked. She's like, yes, this did happen to me. I didn't want to come forward at first, but then he's going to become a Supreme Court justice. And so I felt like I had to say something. And look, once she had come out with her allegations, the floodgate opened. Now, did the FBI look into that? No. There was an investigation, and it was extremely limited in scope. There were about 40 people who were willing to come forward and corroborate the claims made by Julie Swetnick, which is the third accuser, Deborah Ramirez, which is the second accuser. So there were a lot of people willing to come forward, and guess what? The FBI didn't talk to them, didn't even interview Kavanaugh or Blasey Ford, and barely interviewed Ramirez. This was a sham investigation that was going to come out with basically this outcome where, oh no, we didn't find that he did anything wrong, so we can immediately place him on the court. Well, these polls show that the American people are not on board with this. And if they're not on board now, just wait till he starts making terrible pro-corporate anti-choice decisions, which is definitely going to happen. And this is the reason that conservatives wanted him on that court. Not only to protect corporations, to protect their donors, but also when the time comes, protect Donald Trump. As they had said before, I don't believe that, and this is Kavanaugh, I don't believe that presidents should be impeached. I don't believe that presidents should get in trouble while they're president. We shouldn't bother them while they're doing the work of the country. Again, a really strange position for somebody who had once went after and tried and went along with the impeachment of Bill Clinton. So, yeah, I'm with the rest of the American people, the majority. Unfortunately, a majority of Republicans, they don't care. And Republican politicians are like, yeah. So what if a majority of the American people don't want this nomination? Our base does. Our base is vicious, and we're just as vicious as they are. We have the levers of power, and goddamn it, we're going to use it, and we're going to steamroll over everyone that gets in our way. That is our governing philosophy. Don't like it? Sad. Well, you know what I say? Since I don't like it, we should beat them at the ballot box. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.